Hello, everyone. Happy Tuesday.
Hello there.
Hi.
Everyone's having an awesome night, evening,
Hello.
whatever. I don't know, morning, something. I don't know what it is for you, Strike.
2 a.m. You can't quite call that morning, but
Late night, early morning,
late
evening.
night. But I'm prepared. Cheers.
Yes, we're very much prepared for the end is near.
No.
Not ready. Not ready. We are having episode 6 come out tonight of Ahsoka, but tonight we're talking about episode 5 beforehand, kind of just going back, reveling in the awesomeness that is this show. Dave Filoni, we love you. I don't know. There's a lot of different things that I want to talk about tonight about this episode because holy crap. Again, just a reminder, if you haven't watched the episode yet, what
Get
are you
out!
doing? It's been a week. We're going into the next
Disgust me.
episode tonight. you're gonna get spoilers. If you haven't watched it, go watch it. We're going to the new episode tonight, like right after this. I'm sure Strike is like, I've got a lot to do and so little time. Episode 5, guys, continuation of kind of what we talked about last week with episode 4. Pardon my language, but holy shit. Clone
No, that's
Wars.
fair. That's fair.
Whoa, I think that's a bit much, lady.
Yeah, I almost did a Negan's.
I don't know, I think
Holy
that's-
God! No.
Sorry, this is the one time I'm gonna say it. Pardon my language, but holy.
You know what?
Clone Wars.
Go for it. Because we're all, even a week later, after rewatching stuff, like, did that actually happen, or did I have a fever dream? This is too good to be true. It's like I said it during the thing. I felt like Dave Filoni, Hayden Christensen just took their hands, reached through time, and was like, "There you go."
This is all we need.
And it was amazing.
Man, even since the Clone Wars came out and I was a kid, I've been wanting this, and that it's been many, many years. So, like Charlie said, it is one of those "did this just happen" moments, because we've been wanting it for so long that when it finally gets delivered to us, it's not even like a double take. It almost just immediately comes off as like fan fiction, because you physically cannot believe it. It just doesn't seem possible, but it is, and it's real, and it happened.
And it's
I think
glorious.
I think also a lot of it, and I sort of realized some of it more afterwards. A lot of the stuff that you see there is also things that have been a thing, sort of, as you said, like in a fan fiction realm, or like sort of just fan made, in terms of like Ahsoka live action. Like I remember, like even like the early 2010s when there would be some Ahsoka cosplayers that edit themselves into like a promo picture with Hayden and Ewan from Revenge, and like usually looked a bit janky. Hey, Eli, what's up? Long time no see.
It's been a while, yeah.
But and then sort of seeing, and the actual live action young Ahsoka in the Clone Wars, and the casting being as on point as it is,
Seriously,
is surreal. And then also things like, obviously possible because of sort of this vision dream realm with Anakin, like Revenge of the Sith Anakin with the red lightsaber. Like there had been so many edits of like Sith Vader Anakin with a red lightsaber that I remember, and then it's just him, like it's their official. So a lot of this stuff it's just like, I feel like everything that has been just part of our childhood, and sort of what we just created in our imagination, and then it's just on the screen.
Now, real quick, I gotta ask, what tat is Eli referring to, JT?
I don't know which one, because I have 2 Star Wars ones now, but I'm trying to get that Ewan McGregor final piece of the puzzle. If he's referring to this one, because it's been a while, he probably knows.
I think he's referring to this one, because he was also at Celebration.
the one that glowed in the middle of the thing that actually gave you superpower.
that started like I was levitating, my eyes were white.
No, he needed another shirt after that. Like it burned through.
Yeah,
He did.
But
No,
I
wish I
mentioned
was
this. I mentioned this on my buddy Max's pod, and man, being in London and having him do that was a one-of-a-kind surreal experience. Like that wasn't supposed to happen at all. And to know that Ahsoka was filmed and finished, held for release by the time we were still in London, means Hayden already knew about his contribution of being Anakin. So his relation to being Anakin as a Clone Wars flashback, the thing I was going for,
He knew.
it's like
How does he know the symbol so good? I should be able to tell him this. Why is he doing it so good?
the clouds aligned perfectly.
Got him.
It just made it all the more cooler.
Well,
I
and
don't
also
even-
you gotta imagine what was Hayden thinking. He honestly he was probably thinking like that kid has no idea.
He's probably thinking
Not
in
a
his
clue.
mind, like, "Oh crap! Like, I want to say something
that
so
kid is gonna
bad, but I
love-
can't."
Like I don't even feel I should be wearing something like this. Like I could cut off my skin and mount it in like a frame, like a freak. Like this is like
put it in carbonite and put it on a wall just like a Java's Palace or something like that.
In
Like,
like
there you go.
200, in like 200 years, there's like an auction, and here we have JT signed by Hayden Christensen.
first ever
10,000 denarii.
first ever skin art of said actors goes on the black market. But man, that is and what you were saying, Strike, about red saber pre-suit Vader with like Sith eyes. Not only a perfect callback to the Revenge of the Sith video game alternate scene where the galaxy belongs to me, and he just stabs Palpatine. But and I say this with strong will because there are a lot of edits out there, but probably one of my favorite and one of the most simple edits someone's have ever done was change the lightsaber color on the Mustafar fight from his to red. So it's red versus blue because it would make sense. I would believe that he would have bled his crystal by the time before he met Obi-Wan. Something like that would have definitely happened.
That got me thinking as well. So whenever I went to Denver and whenever I had my moment with Hayden and he was signing my 2005 Revenge of the Sith lightsaber.
Yes. Field tested, by the way. Charlie's got field tested.
So I was like, why is he choosing red, not blue or something for like this? I don't know if that was a reason. If that was a little muscle memory, just like because I remember I was like, he's like, what color do you want? And I was like, dude, this is your lightsaber. I'm happy with whatever you got. And he didn't pick black, blue, or anything like that. He's like, how do you feel about red? I was like, go for it.
He knew.
And so I'm now in the back of my head. I'm just like, did he do that for a reason? But of course, then watch this episode. And so yeah.
And before you said he chose red, you said that he also stated, well, by the time I would be in this picture, I think I would be Vader. So how does red sound? Something like that.
Yes, I did.
So
tried to layer. I think he wanted to try to layer that in. I can't help but think he was trying to hide something as well, because I can only imagine the stuff that he had to hold back. Because between the cosplayer stuff, the little thing he let out, he was so happy. I'm so glad that this amazing man. But yes, he pretty much said, "Hi, dog." Just.
Don't mind my dog.
Yeah, just like I can't get over. I can't stop smiling. Is that when I got there, I was like, "Oh man, cool." He even did this. "Oh, I'm sorry. Was it okay?" I was like, "Dude, yes. If anybody,
take my lightsaber.
Please
Keep it."
Yeah, right. And just whenever he's doing that, I was like, what do you think? It's like, whatever you call it you want, man, and everything like that. Just the same thing and all that. And he's like, how do you feel about red? It's like, yeah, sounds good. And while he was doing it, this be around that time and everything like that. And I'm just like,
that's dude. His when you were saying that to me, I was like, dude, his testament to him knowing the character at the time and loving it, like being passionate about Anakin. Like he's like, I think I would be evil at this point. I'm choosing red for you.
And he even signed it right where the damn Kyber crystal would be.
It's meant to be.
God dang it. Love that man.
Oh my god, why is StreamYard's not letting me show this? Why?
Skynet, man. It's been
finally. Okay, Eli says I'm way too hyped for this episode. It literally is going to do with the sequel trilogy. Should have done. I had a moment last week, Mando season 2, chapter 16 moment, but Ahsoka episode 5 had 2.
It was
I really enjoyed this episode. I think a lot of the callbacks were really well done, not only in like the very obvious stuff, getting Hayden to come back and do this, but even the simple dialogue that they mention with the scenes of Hera and Carson and Jason. They make mention to a specific someone from the OG, our queen, may she rest in peace forever, Miss Carrie Fisher. They mentioned Senator Organa. That was probably one of those moments where I like grabbed onto my boyfriend's arm and I was like hitting him like, oh my god, did they just make mention of her kind of thing? Not to mention them bringing Mon Mothma again into this episode.
Yeah, it's I missed it the first time around because I was like, what is happening? And everything like that. And then like the second round, because I know our other buddy Mom said something about working on like, huh? I was like,
Oh no,
when?
that
'Cause my
I
brain-
heard it and I was
my
like,
brain was firing off like a piston because of everything else. Not take anything away from that amazing person, but I was just like, and then when we watched, I was like, Charlie, you fool! Anyways, yeah.
Son of a took.
I was, but yes, it was amazing.
Could
like
you
that.
imagine if we got more Leia too, like a,
Well,
like a
that's-
hologram or?
that's what I was thinking when I heard that, is like with these last few episodes coming out, is there a chance that we could get, you know, a young Leia, you know, very, you know, not like she's early in her days as senator, but kind of just what happens not long after Return of the Jedi. You know, where is she at that point in her life? You know, is she with Han? Is she just, you know, ruling the galaxy? What is she doing, kind of thing? We obviously know what Luke's doing, but, you know, we want to see stuff like this. You know, we got Luke's story. We want more of Leia now, or we want more of this character, whatever. But hearing that was like something that just really hyped me up, like hearing her name, because it's like, oh my gosh, could we see more of the rebellion start to pop back up again, you know, once Thrawn does come back?
Yeah, it wasn't like a yikes moment in Rogue One when we saw Leia. It was more of a wow, that looks wow. But then when you look back at it, you're like, yeah, they, you know, the cheeks are kind of off, whatever, and nitpicking. But an updated version of like Leia, like how we get in Book of Boba with Luke.
Mm-hmm. And like I mean, heck, it's not like they couldn't even use like what they did with Luke in Mando, where they had someone to be the face and just kind of put his face over, because her daughter was in Star Wars, and her daughter looks very much like her. And if she were to be more brunette, you know, they colored her hair more brunette.
Well, even just use the person that played her in Rogue One, like,
right?
Because that person, I don't remember. I don't think I actually ever knew her name, but I think she just actually has those features. So, I mean, that's really all you need for the deep fake. So,
I'm following somebody on Instagram who looks disgustingly close to Carrie Fisher. She even did a Hoth Leia cosplay, and the comments went. She instantly got popular from that, like 40K or something. But the majority of people don't know about her. There are like lookalikes that are crazy similar to these celebrity actors, but you just have to look like somewhat, you know, similar. The deepfake will do the rest.
Not necessarily leaks or spoilers, but just kind of theories of what we have coming into, you know, the more we move into this show, and just kind of the idea that, you know, we could get a second season of this show, or even, you know, well, we're pretty much going to get a movie from Dave Filoni. You know, it's just kind of that. I wanted to go back, actually, because since we're talking about Anakin too, one of my favorite scenes of episode 5 actually was right after the flashbacks, the Clone Wars flashbacks had kind of ended, and it, you know, him and Ahsoka are fighting now, but it's in the present, and we see him start to go from like Anakin to Vader, and it's the cloud of smoke and just the lightning, and it shifts between Vader and Anakin, and I was just sitting there like, this is the most exciting.
Saw that twice. The flash into the suit.
Yeah, and it was just one of the most, like, I don't know, it's like we've already know what happens, but it's just kind of that in between and that build up. You know, we're kind of like y'all were saying, we're getting something that we've never gotten in live action, more so, you know, fan fiction, and now we're getting it in live action from Star Wars, from Dave, from Disney, and it's like, this is actually happening. Like, kind of like you're saying, like, it's just like you're kind of in disbelief a little bit, like you don't know how to feel.
Yeah, except for me, raw joy. I mean, I even shaved my face, shaved everything off because I feel like a kid
I
again.
noticed. Oh my gosh.
But we
Rip.
got to remember, all of this is happening in Ahsoka's head. She's knocked out underwater at this time.
Yeah.
So with
Yeah.
Vader flashing, or Anakin flashing into Vader, you can only imagine what Ahsoka's dealing with in her head, because that's what she's remembering. Like, she's having trouble coping with what happened already. She knows that Anakin became Vader in the suit and did all of those nasty things. So that just like quick, like he's walking away and he's the good guy, Anakin, and boom, Vader. Whoa,
Yeah.
what was that?
I kind of want to poster that so bad.
I
It's
saw like a
holographic.
thing too. Like I don't know if it was really a theory thing or just something on Facebook I saw of someone kind of describing that scene, specifically the moment where Ahsoka takes his lightsaber from, I think she took his lightsaber from him or whatever, and she points it back, and you kind of see in her eyes the lightsaber looks to be glowing, but it almost looks like her eyes actually changed
That was intentional.
to the yellow, the Sith. And I saw someone pointing out, like, saying that the whole point of that was that she's able to control that side because she's what's considered a gray Jedi. So,
I don't know about.
I don't know if it's really control, but like someone was basically pointing that out, kind of like mentioning the light and the dark, and like how at that moment her eyes kind of flashed a little bit.
I don't know if it's like gray Jedi. Well, gray Jedi is like that's fan fiction,
right?
But I do believe that is an accidental metaphor that actually ties into the story, makes it all that much cooler because it comes down to her that whole sequence, that whole dream sequence was her coping. It was a big coping, accepting the past kind of deal because you see her in Rebels, right before she cuts Vader's mask, they get into that fight. She says, "I am no Jedi." That's not to be taken at a literal face value. She's lost at that point. She's trying to find that path. So when it gets down to that vision, and then Anakin, he's like, live or die, and they have their cutesy little Jedi, their fight. But then you get to the second one, he turns around, it's red saber. He's like, I already told you, live or die. The wheels of the Force are deciding her fate as we speak. Live and reclaim the Jedi way. It doesn't even have to be the Jedi religion, but just follow the lighter path and stay on it. No more in between, no more deciding and being confused, or die. The wills of the Force will take you with them.
I love that. Like, I've watched it so many times. I've watched so many tributes of it. I see so much stuff that I didn't see before because I'm just like, how? And I love it because, again, if you haven't seen Rocky, I'm sorry, but my God, it's amazing. It's an amazing franchise, all the movies. But I love that. I love the approach, how they did it. I love how it was not, if it hadn't been playing like some other dark entity, I've been still, happy, but this was perfection that it was actually like this. I love the fact that it was just him just like, nope, I gotta go back down here. I had to save my son. I gotta go save my student. I'll be back. Mm-hmm. Comes down there. Hey, get up. We got to talk. Pulls her out of the water, puts her in that little world.
And he did his prophecy. He was able to save from death.
Yes. That was the thing that got me almost. I got to be careful about talking that because that will choke me up. I can feel my face getting red. It's just, it's really crazy thinking about because after all those years of him, I wouldn't learn to stop people from dying. All the way back to that before it becomes a selfish desire, like George Lucas said, and everything like that, when it was just a compassion thing and, trying to cope and stuff. Mm-hmm. Full circle goes to Luke and then it goes to Ahsoka. And while doing, I'm just like, oh my God, you brilliant madman, who did this?
Destroy the Sith and, save others from death. That's what he was promised, I guess. Whether destroying the Sith was in his mind as taking them out while he was a Jedi, or saving from death being while he's a Jedi, saving Padme. None of that happened. So he completely shut it out of his mind like it will never happen, but it ended up happening anyways.
Just throwing the Emperor down that damn tube where he died is just complete everything and just. beautiful, and just him coming in with that majestic Canadian face. A little jealous. God, man, it was so good seeing him just do that and just turn around.
That goes into one of my favorite like metaphors of the episode, which was the scaling in Ahsoka's mind of what she remembers Anakin looking like. Because when she was kicked, she fell down off the bridge, and then she's young again. She's living her old mind with everything in her head that she's lived through already in her younger body. Imagine seeing that in person, Whoa, I'm freaking like 13 again or whatever.
I'm a potato again.
I am small. But she's like, this is the Clone Wars. He's like, yeah, you think? He's just rolling with the punches. But she remembers at that first, like one of those first battles, that's what he was wearing. He was wearing his Clone Wars armor. And the last thing that she remembers him wearing before, going up to rescue the Chancellor with Obi-Wan, take out Dooku, was his Revenge of the Sith uniform. That's when she got the blue lightsabers. That's the last thing she remembered seeing of him. So that's the first thing that she sees when she is in the dream sequence. She wakes up, she sees him like that.
Like Master?
And when she gets to the Siege of Mandalore, he's like, I don't remember this battle. Because you weren't in it. So she can't piece that together. So she just gives him the default Revenge of the Sith look because he wasn't wearing anything in that battle.
Fun and real fast. During that moment, at first I was like, oh, was that an accident? No, it was not. Whenever I was watching the making and everything like that, they did the pose from season 7 whenever they left the animated version to when they were doing this.
So they were looking at each other.
Oh my God, it made me so happy that was actually like intentional and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Dave Filoni's really
God, it was amazing. Because
it was very thought out. This whole
I think you could tell that like when you watch this episode, Dave Filoni directed, wrote it, did everything because we all know Ahsoka is like his baby. This was one of those episodes that really shines through, with especially just his work in general and his involvement in Star Wars, and just kind of overall, you could tell how much passion he put behind this. And, just like I was saying earlier, it's not even just these like very obvious like callbacks. It's the little subtle parts in the dialogue, even in other scenes with Hera and Mon Mothma, and making mentions of other things going on, and like again bringing up Leia, for instance. It goes to show how much was planning was done with this show.
Agreed. And something really cool actually that I found like a day or two ago, and I didn't share this. Ahsoka, when she's fighting Anakin for the first time, whatever, and she does the move where she kicks him in the face, and he's like, and he like smiles, and he's like, I haven't taught you everything. Slices the bridge.
Yoink!
I did not know this. Okay. I didn't piece it together immediately, but the same kick in the face is the same move she does to Maul on the Siege of Mandalore on that duel. Maul does this little, they get over, she does the kick, and Maul goes, I don't know, he gets that same exact leg angle face kick.
New Easter egg, y'all. Go and watch Ahsoka episode 5 again.
I watched Lauren Mary Kim do that.
I mean, it's not necessarily a reason that I need it on top, but yeah.
Not that I'd be looking for.
And dude, Maul's my favorite character. I don't know how I didn't notice that. I saw someone posted that and it didn't even like get traction. I'm like, what? That's so cool. They just called back another fight. Maul being referenced potentially twice in that episode through the kick and through it just being the Siege of Mandalore with the Mandalorians walking around.
Another thing I will say, another thing I will say that I really, really enjoyed about watching Hayden come back was like, he has not changed, like in terms of like when we were watching the scenes where him and Ahsoka are fighting, and you see kind of the zoomed out scenes of him like waving his lightsaber around. It very much I sat there and watched that whole thing, and I sat there thinking, this is exactly how he fought in Revenge of the Sith when he was fighting Obi-Wan on crap. Yeah. Like just watching him like just wave around the saber and fight. Like I was just sitting there like, this is my childhood. this is like one of the most amazing moments to watch, because in the like 20 years plus that have gone by, he has not lost it. He has
No,
not lost his touch
he will not lose it
whatsoever.
either
And
because
it was
it's
it was
so,
just
yeah, it's
absolutely
so good.
beautiful.
Yeah, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but like
No, you're good.
this man, okay, 2002. So him and Nick Gillard literally was just like, you know, even practicing those fights along with like the early like Dooku renditioning for episode 2 and some of the early stuff they did with that. And he's like, there's a behind the scenes feature, you know, it's like no big spoiler or however they said it back then. My character does go to the dark side. It's like the Titanic sinking and everything. So even just early stuff like that. And then boom, after that movie, George comes along. Nick, I want you to take Hayden up to New Zealand. I need you to start getting prepped for episode 3, so because he needs to learn how to incorporate adding in more Vader.
George Lucas impression is just the best.
But,
I love it.
I can't help it, man. But just like that, so from early 2002 to like past 2005, even when it came up, because he had to do pickup shots and everything like that. So all that time and practicing that fight of not just the Dooku thing, but Anakin, Vader, Mustafar, specifically that one. And so that dude's muscle memory is never going to go away.
Yeah.
And it's built in. I know how that stuff works. It's never going to go away.
Dude,
I love it.
Fighting styles. When he was evil, he's like live or die. You know, the first
completely
move
changed.
he does
He was
is
more
a downward
aggressive,
block breaking strike.
Yes,
And-
the same strike that literally did the thing on Malachor for Rebels. And I stopped and froze like, oh my God, that's the frozen thing that when Ahsoka's holding the 2 blades. How did I not see this?
Yeah.
And just, I love it.
And his movements too, they don't go above the shoulder because
No, they do not.
That's what I'm saying. When I
detail.
watched that scene, it was just like just one of my favorites, because I just sat there in awe, like, this guy has not lost it. This guy is doing exactly like the same like maneuvers he did when he was fighting Obi-Wan, and I'm sitting there like, oh.
Yeah.
Like when he walks up, like when he's like already got like the red lightsaber, when he pushes Ahsoka back into the dream realm, I just can't get over how badass he looks when he does like that shoulder, like sort of like reload.
You look
like,
conviction.
So badass. One thing that I noticed about Ahsoka, and I hope it means something, because initially when we watched it, I was to an extent surprised that they didn't choose a older actress for Ahsoka for Siege of Mandalore, because I mean, in younger people, I mean, you can tell that they age in like a gap of 2 years quite a bit. And I mean, also with like side by side with Clone Wars and live action, you notice how the height difference is like way more still. But I hope the reason why they didn't go for an older, different actress there is that they might actually have some further plans that involve Ahsoka.
I like the words you're saying.
I really hope that's the reason, because I want something just strictly Clone Wars, not a flashback. You know, it's not, you know, a little tiny bit of a different show. It's the show or the movie.
There's so many cool things in the Clone Wars.
And
even if they
not
don't
wrong.
come up with something original, there's so many cool looking like environments. Think of like the Citadel, like a big shock wall with like yellow lava at the bottom. Felucia, I mean, see more Felucia like in live action.
Yeah.
Oh God.
Come on, man.
So many
it's just like, I'm just thinking like, you can't waste any more time with Hayden, Ewan. All these guys will be too old in like the next 10 years, and this actress will grow up.
You don't want to have to rely on
deepfakes. Fucking chance.
I wanted to go back to what Strike said too, because the girl who actually plays Ahsoka, I was looking at it earlier.
Yeah, it blew my mind too.
I was like, you look at her from 2 years ago. There was a movie on Netflix called Awake. She was like 13, 14-year-old. I looked at an image of her earlier today, and I was like, what the hell happened? She does not look at all the same that she did 2 years ago. She's 16 now, and she looks so grown up.
Yeah,
so
think of young Gamora. She looks like
she plays young Gamora. Yeah, I forgot she plays young Gamora.
Yeah, that brain through me because like what the Clone Wars like whenever she drops down, it's kind of like orange, reddish. So I immediately at second watch because first time I was like that and everything like that. I was like, where have I seen this person? And it's very much the same, just like whenever that happens, and then was it worth it? And everything like that.
Yeah.
Like, oh my God. So
Yeah.
that's how I found out.
Even funnier
Heck,
because
even
at the time there were these like memes with small Gamora, in that scene with like, was it worth it? And it was, or no, the meme goes like this. It's like something something, and then it's like the Phase 1 clone trooper from Battlefront. It's like, we've captured a command post. Oh no, yeah, was it worth it? We've captured a command post. What did it cost you? We've lost the command post.
Not enough.
And like
troops.
now, I'm gonna have to make that meme, but with Ahsoka this time.
Yeah, don't spoil the meme. Just
I will
circulate it
say-
into the public and just to let it grow like a flower.
I will say though, they did a really good job casting her because you do see her as young Gamora, and she does a really good job. And then you see her in Ahsoka, and it's like whoever the makeup artist was and costume designers did a really great job because she looks nothing like what you'd expect.
And that goes to
It's
what
good.
Strike was saying, like
Yeah.
use them while you got them.
Yeah.
And like the comment I made before with like the backgrounds and everything, I was thinking about that too, because really the only background stuff you see is like nothing amounts of rocks and boxes and like an ATTE, some clones on a gurney, some dead bodies and stuff, but you don't see like planetscapes or anything. I mean,
Yeah.
one shot you see like a downed gunship in the Siege of Mandalore, but you don't get to see like the vast like cityscape like you do like in the Clone Wars animation.
Yeah.
But that comes down to it being like the fog of mind, because like both of those battles that were shown at different flashback times had the same kind of pink, like orangey fog haze in the air. So that's like Ahsoka's mind dreamscape.
Couldn't really see much, but you
Yeah.
could see kind of what she saw, like those little details / like memories that she had.
Yeah, but
of
you can
being
imagine
there.
if it wasn't a dream, we would get the full landscape. Like,
And I also hope if we go into, something exclusively Clone Wars, that they will get some people of maybe the 501st or some people that are designated clone people, because I am so sorry, but I went through the entire show and not a single clone trooper would get accepted into the 501st. And that's just a fact. And I hate it. I know nobody else is noticing it, but
that's the curse of knowing armor. I mean, that's your passion, that's your gig. But for someone like me, that's not entirely. Everything looked so good right away, and I was crying for like 20 minutes that I couldn't notice those fine
You weren't the only one. I was fighting back some stuff as well, man. All of our faces were red.
It's just Strike's
It's
little
not-
detail to point out.
It's not until the smaller
No, it's
details
good.
that Strike.
Yeah, no, let him.
It's
Well,
not
I mean, the
until
thing
smaller
about it-
details like Strike that he brought out to me that I wouldn't have noticed unless he told
Right.
it to me. Yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, I'm honestly like glad that some people don't notice, but I mean, the thing about Star Wars is, and I mean, also part of the reason why things like the 501st exists, like for Star Wars, is because Star Wars is just known for having such insane amount of detail in either the models or their armor, and I mean, there's just like I don't know, I feel like there's just a certain amount of accurateness of continuity that they should just follow, because like the thing is, for instance, with like the clone troopers in Kenobi, like those suits are made even if the the color grading fucked them over, and they looked a bit too clean, but like at least shape wise and stuff, they were trying to match what the clones looked like in Revenge of the Sith. And Andor, they look great, so it's not like I'm saying like, oh, they just can't do it. But yeah, I mean, well, in the Siege of Mandalore, all of the clones are CG, and they're the Book of Boba Fett models. So, but yeah, like the Phase 1s, like I don't know, it's just sort of I find it a bit laughable when I know a bunch of cosplayers that do Phase 1s too, and they look frighteningly accurate to the CGI models from Attack of the Clones, and then I just see sort of like the mixed animated look in the show, and I'm just like, come on, you
It
know.
could have been something a little bit more time could have been spent on, but I don't know, it's not like a super big thing, I guess.
Well, you know, for the sake of it being like this dream roam, you know, I'm more than willing to sort of let it slide. But if it was like sort of a standalone thing, I just expect things to have continuity with the
Mhm.
prequels. That's just,
Right.
you know,
As
the
you should,
canon.
because that's what you mostly care about as well.
Yeah,
Like if
yeah. I
Maul
mean,
if Maul was
I'm
missing a
just
horn or Vader, had one eye,
right.
like
Exactly. Yeah. Like, I mean, and I'm already, you know, I'm already scarred of what they did to Boa's costume here and there
yeah,
in the newer stuff. So at this point, I'm just calling it out when I see
yeah.
it because
Mhm.
there is like some genuine mistake and that they sort of are not even aware of it. And part of the problem I think too is, you know, with the prequels and the OT, you know, the people that worked on it, they were like all kind of like family. And I will say to an extent, you know, I know some people still work there from that time, but also a lot of new people are just there to do a job. And that's not on them, but that's just the reality. And when you're just doing a job, you just probably don't care enough to put enough research into it to know that there's a key difference between how things look in animated to live action and how they should be translated back to live action. For instance, like I actually looked back at like behind the scenes of the Clone Wars making of the movie, and they were like Dave was like talking about the process with some of the animators of how they made the design for Rex, like how it was inspired by, you know, Fordo from the 2003 Tartakovsky Clone Wars, and how they went also from the Attack of the Clones stuff. And like they even showed like a render of a phase one Attack of the Clones clone trooper, but like with the pauldron, with the comma. Didn't have like the Rex markings, but sort of, you know, the basis of that. And it was just clearly the way how it looks either in Attack of the Clones or Revenge. So then when they differ from that design, even though logically you would just go back sort of what they based it on, that's when I'm just thinking, okay, this is like not done by the people that were responsible for that back then.
That's what gets me, because before, like, this doesn't even have to be told by anyone. If you look at the promo pictures for the episode, you have Clone Wars Anakin, like Clone Wars young
Perfect.
Ahsoka Snips, and then you have Phase 2 Rex with his bicep pieces like
It,
backwards. I'm like, okay, I understand what people are saying now, but like firsthand, when you're watching the show, you
oh
don't
yeah,
notice it. Everything
Yeah,
looks so
the
Yeah.
good right away, but when they do that close-up promo shot, that's kind of when you want to get it right. And I
There
can see
yeah,
was
what people are
and
saying.
yeah, and I mean the thing also is about that one because at first, like when I was sort of just going back in the episode, because yeah, at first time watching the episode, I was just like, what? It's Rex, and then like it's Tamora Morrison
Yeah.
voicing Rex.
Let's go, boys.
And
Let's
then I went
go.
back, and then I noticed like the pauldron was like the first thing. But yeah, then in the promo shot, the realization that not only are like sort of like the bicep like thingies backwards, but they were backwards and they painted it on like when they were backwards. So it's not like they like
Yeah.
painted
So
them
the stripe
correctly
doesn't
and then
line up
switched
with
them
like
up,
the
but they
yeah.
just legitimately put them on backwards, and the elbows are a new shape. Like no other clone trooper ever, I mean, obviously, has like it has like a weird sort of like fin, what sort of similar to what the knees have, but it's on the elbow. It's like what? Yeah, I mean that's yeah. I mean the whole clone community has just been hilarious about it. I love it. Like there were so many memes. Yeah. No, I'm sure they have seen some of it, and I mean the best thing that happens is that they saw the criticism, and I mean I do feel like that everyone who was criticizing it was being respectful about it, obviously jokingly also.
right.
But I mean I think the most important part to take away, because I've also seen people being like, "Oh, you should just shut the fuck up and, you know, like be thankful that you see Rex and stuff, and like you guys are way too much online." And it's like, well, it's a genuine just mistake. It's objectively wrong. Like it shouldn't be this way. And I mean, the best that can happen is that they learn from it, like they notice it and they fix it next time. So,
And I mean, you can't really, like, I'm not saying like you can't be online saying these. I'm saying like to say to someone else like you shouldn't be online voicing these things. It's like, what did you think this show was put out for? Like, aside from entertainment, you know, this is being targeted to this is being targeted to a very specific group of Star Wars fans. Whether we like it or not, we can all agree that if you have watched Clone Wars and Rebels, you will probably get more of the references on this show than a casual fan would. I'm more of a casual fan because I haven't watched too much of Rebels and too much of Clone Wars, but I still got a lot of the references that were being made because I've seen enough to know that, like, what's going on, like specifically like the looks that they do at each other with young Ahsoka and Anakin. I caught that pretty instantly. But you know, when there are people out there though that are watching this show, you know, Disney and Star Wars and Dave, I'm pretty sure, are kind of expecting these criticisms and these opinions, and that's kind of the point. Is like that's kind of the point of putting out a show. Is typically these people have to get the feedback from their audience. They have to know what's working and what's not working, so they can go back if they do a season 2 and really kind of, you know, spruce things up to as perfect as they can get it. Yeah. They're trying. They're trying their hardest for their fans.
My parents are casual fans. They haven't seen all the Clone Wars. They probably haven't even seen a whole season, but they have seen when I do watch, you know, the Clone Wars growing up, and they would stop in, you know, walk by when certain things were happening on screen. And I said, "Oh, that's Ahsoka. Oh, that's Rex." And for some reason, it just sticks in their head for whatever reason. So they know these characters, but they don't know them, right?
Right.
But the writing fuses that perfectly, because even if you know nothing about it, you have the episode prior, which Baylan Skoll is in her head, and he's like, you know, Anakin thought so highly of you. And they're like, is he referring to like Anakin, like the chosen one, like from the movies that I know? Wait, that's like an authoritative statement. Is Anakin Ahsoka's teacher? What? So someone that knows nothing of the Clone Wars could piece that together. Then you go right into the dream sequence, and then it spoon feeds it to you. Anakin, Master, you know, this is the Clone Wars, you think? You know, this everything, that's just good writing. That's just plain and simple good writing.
Yeah.
And it's really well done in general, because it really, you know, I mean, it serves its purpose for the show. Anyone who has not even watched Clone Wars is then, you know, up to date and knows at least the general gist of it. But also, it pretty much even creates new interest for new audiences to go back to the Clone Wars.
Exactly. It will definitely, if they see this live action Clone Wars scene, they're like, wait, the internet is broken. Why is the internet broken? Everyone's freaking out about this Clone Wars thing. I should go give that a watch. Boom, you're sucked into 7 seasons.
It's a
dangerous.
Like, what was it?
A casual fan could enjoy it.
I think it was episode 3 of Ahsoka, where she was fighting in space or whatever, where she walks out in space.
Yes.
Like, it was funny because I remembered, I think it was season 1 of Clone Wars where Anakin and Ahsoka get stuck or trapped or whatever. They're trying to help the people that are trapped. And it was funny because that was one of the very first episodes of Clone Wars that I watched. Obviously, it's season 1. But it was funny because, like I said, I'm a casual fan. And just for some reason, like, as soon as I saw episode 3, I just instantly knew that they were calling back to that episode of her and Anakin, you know, disobeying Obi-Wan's orders and going off on their own little adventure to go save people. And I'm like, the fact that I distinctly remember that makes me concerned.
Yeah. Well, certain things stick with certain people. I mean, that was the one for you that
but
stuck
it's
out.
Nice. Yeah, it's like it makes it more enjoyable because you're sitting there like, okay, maybe I don't know 100% of this, but the fact that I have that little memory in my head of this one episode, I got that reference, and they didn't even do all of it. They just did Ahsoka.
And he's like, I knew nothing about Ahsoka, but I seen her in space. And I was like, by golly.
Her and Anakin were on top of some ships deflecting blasted bolts back at some space stuff and everything. Yeah.
You know, I hear the biggest gripe about the Clone Wars being the animation style. And I can get that. It is It is an experimental tech that people were trying to figure out to begin
I didn't
with.
really care about the animation.
But
Like, I wasn't mad about it.
I'm talking about the majority, though, that completely disown it because of the animation. Like, oh, I can't get it. That hurts to watch. Okay, but then it has a good story, though. So are you going to throw away a book because you didn't like the first few pages? A book is not an animated whatever. That's words. I can't read a book. I got ADHD. I have to do something else while I'm reading. Cut it at a chapter or whatever. But honestly, there's so many different things in the Clone Wars that you can enjoy besides just the animation style. They're like, Clone Wars is for kids. Okay, get to season 7. There's war crimes. Maul beheads a leader. There's so many non-children friendly things in that show that you could have known had you.
I don't think kids are gonna understand some of those references.
Well, honestly, but there is a point because I've heard people also say that that was sort of what hindered them, or to this day they haven't watched Clone Wars because of it. But then at the same time, I'm like, I think if even those people, if they're genuinely interested in Star Wars, and maybe, I mean, to an extent, I think it might also be more of a problem with the people that are not interested in the prequels, because I feel like if you're interested in the prequels, then even if you're not a fan of like cartoons, I think then you're gonna stand over that just because you want to know those stories. Like for instance, like I mean, when I was a kid, like I actually didn't watch really almost any Clone Wars on like actual TV. Like it was sort of like a thing that I had going on with my grandpa, that he would always like buy the new season when it came out on DVD, and then we would watch
that shit on TV, man.
Like that was always like like, and I usually didn't know. I didn't keep up to it. I was just not old enough to keep up with it. So then usually it was that I would visit my grandparents, and then my grandpa like showed the new season. I was like,
the
Grail.
The 2D micro series or whatever for Star Wars. I didn't even like, bruh, I got that on like like my dad had it on like DVD or something, and anytime we'd go on a road trip, I would bring those with me and play it on our little like portable DVD player. That is all I wanted to watch, was that 2D damn micro series.
So I was very young at the time, so I remember we had to wait like a very long time just to get 3 minutes of a short. But then, like you said, that micro series, when they fused all of them together, when those finally came out and we got them, then I started to remember them and tie them together to the actual movies as a kid. That was very cool to do.
Hell yeah!
But
I remember James
Earl Taylor. I was going to make real quick. Almost.
No, you're good.
But I wanted to make that point that like I was watching that with my grandpa, and I'm not even sure to what extent my grandpa, remembered the actual movies or had watched them. But he was watching it with me, and like I remember distinctively that he was commenting almost like every season on the fact that the animation was getting better. Like I mean, I as a kid honestly didn't really notice. Then usually like when he said it, I was like, yeah, like especially when you get into like season 3 when Anakin has like the outfit change, I'm like, yeah, no, it does look better. And, but like, yeah, I think if you're generally sort of like willing to see those stories, I think the animation style is not important at all.
Yeah, the voice acting, there's so many different aspects that you can just connect to,
Something
and like you were saying before, this episode will hopefully
out.
give that a second chance to those people come back and see it.
Something that Eli pointed out too was saying that he really hoped for Ashley to do some voiceover work for young Ahsoka. I don't think I would have seen her playing doing voiceover for young Ahsoka. That's just me though. I think who they got now was actually really great. If anything, I would have probably liked to have at least seen a cameo of Ashley, even if it was a small role. We've seen plenty of like pretty decent known actors cameo within the first like 2 to 3 episodes. So it would have been probably really nice to see her do a cameo even, just as like a side character or something. Mainly just because like it's just kind of the idea of, you're passing the mantle on to someone else now. I think it's also just the idea that fans, appreciate her so much for, bringing this character, with Dave to life in the first place. Yeah. And now it's it's going on to someone new. And, you know, I think it would have just been nice to see her, you know, just to show appreciation.
You said that, and then I was thinking in my head, what if she was like a Twi'lek civilian or something on Ryloth, and she runs by, Anakin says forward, and then you just see right with the Sky Guy.
Well,
and then,
no, when I was watching the Clone Wars flashbacks, and you see like all the like characters in the background, I was secretly hoping that she was kind of gonna show up just at some point as he was yelling at all of them. Like that was kind of the same thing I had in my mind watching that.
Well,
yeah, I don't know when it'll be. It's no spoiler. I just remembered. She did it like on like a little live stream on her Instagram.
Is she gonna be on the show?
Yeah, she is. Because she told a story about her running up to Rosaria Dawson and hugging her, and everything like that with the makeup and everything like that. So I don't know what it is, but I just know she'll be in it.
Yeah.
Rightfully so.
Finale episode. What if it's the finale episode?
I mean, she's kind of the kyber crystal of that character, so I mean, kind of deserves it.
I mean, in terms of Star Wars live action animated continuity, at least in original dub, I mean, it makes sense because, I mean, you know, in live action, Hayden is Anakin and Ewan is Obi-Wan, and in animated, it's Matt Lantern and James Arnold Taylor.
Right.
So in that sense, it makes sense that it's not Ashley in live action.
If they're gonna reprise their Clone Wars outfits and still remain live action, I would keep the continuity with live action. Yeah, not that it's Hayden and then actually Eckstein playing Ahsoka.
And honestly, call me crazy, but honestly, I think the actress for young Ahsoka, like Rosario, I thought actually did a really good job at mimicking the way that Ashley voiced Ahsoka. At least I felt like by her demeanor and by her tone of voice.
Dude, not even that, but just the mannerisms, the way that when she was younger, how she carried herself, like she's like worried, you know, whatever. And Anakin's like, well, how do you want me to act? Do you want me to be more stern? I was like, dude, this bickering is just like the Clone Wars.
And those props go out to Hayden too. Like he totally plays two different versions of Anakin. Like when he's Revenge of the Sith Anakin, then he's like, you know, that, you know, cocky, you know, that smiling, you know, like Anakin like over his head. And then in the Clone Wars, he's, you know, the sort of serious, but, you know, still taking the
teacher
Anakin master.
Yeah. And I was really worried because when Clone Wars starts off, you kind of see Anakin already with like a semi-mullet. So I'm like, is he going to have a mullet throughout the entire Clone Wars or whatever? And then you get to season 7, it's long and flowing. I'm like, okay, they're going more Revenge of the Sith. But then in the show, I'm thinking, okay, if we get Clone Wars Anakin, like this was before last episode came out. I'm like, dude, what if we got a Clone Wars Anakin? What would that look like? He would have his Clone Wars armor, of course, but his hair, how would that look?
His hair would be a little bit more different.
And they smashed it.
They did
in the middle ballpark of Attack of the Clones, short Padawan between Revenge of the Sith. It was that like half mark, kind of like how Hayden's hair normally is. It was perfect.
Yeah, I agree.
I
and even like his, you know, I am genuinely surprised how good, because I mean he doesn't have that long hair like he had in Revenge of the Sith at the moment. So that's some sort of extensions. I don't know how that works.
Well, that wasn't his hair in Revenge either. That was
I hate to tell you, he's married.
Yeah, but to an extent, I think it was more than now. Like because like he had like super long hair before when George was like, I think it's just too much.
Oh, I know what you're talking about, Strike. I think it's
but either way, I mean, it looked great.
Give him a mohawk.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, like
when he had
the concept art of Anakin for Revenge of the Sith.
Yeah, so it's like all the way down here, and he's just like, please cut it, please cut it.
Heavy metal Anakin.
Mercy.
One thing, this is like totally away from Clone Wars now, but this is still part of episode 5. I wanted to get y'all's opinions on this because I've seen kind of two sides of this on the internet, which is the scene where Jason can hear under the water the lightsabers with Ahsoka and Anakin fighting, and then he tells Hera like, listen mom, like listen for it, whatever, and she hears it. Somebody pointed out, I saw this online, I'm just going to bring it up because y'all probably know more about this than I do.
I talked about this last week.
Someone pointed out how she could hear it, but it's not like she was like holding hands with Jason or anything, or it's not like she has the Force or anything, but she could hear it. How did y'all feel about that?
I
don't necessarily like it.
You don't like it, Strike?
Well, give your piece and I'll give mine.
I am, yeah, I
Nothing.
know we talked about it last week, and I felt a bit more negative about it than everyone else. So, so I'm willing to, accept it as it's a spiritual place, and there's funky stuff going on with Ahsoka, and that if you just, sort of one of those things where you can hear it sort of anyway, but if you're not concentrating on specifically hearing out for that, you're not going to hear it. But it sort of goes hand in hand with what's going on with Sabine possibly, and what they're like hinting at with certain things they say, because the whole thing with like that, yes, the Force flows through everything, but not everyone is Force sensitive. It's just not a thing. And no matter how hard you try, if you're not Force sensitive, if that midichlorian count is not high enough to be considered Force sensitive, it doesn't matter, and you're never going to have any of those powers. Because if that was the case, if anyone knew of the Jedi and was just like, I'm just gonna concentrate really hard, like then all of those sacred grounds, like secret temples, it would be pointless, because those usually give off signals through the Force that you can only like hear or feel if you're Force sensitive. So it goes back to the whole thing of like, not everyone is special, and it would just defeat the point of the Jedi.
I 100% agree with you, in the caveat that I don't believe that this was given by a spiritual location. I think it's more so along the lines of the actual wills of the Force blessing her in that moment to let her hear that, because her hearing that made it so Ahsoka could be saved. So that's the wills trying to direct the story to keep Ahsoka alive, because she's being used for a further purpose, and that's her only help through Hera hearing her. So I believe the wills chose Hera in that moment to hear that, even though she's not Force sensitive, and I can understand the argument. But and I don't want to hear like, oh, but she's with Kanan and Kanan's Force sensitive, so there's
it doesn't matter.
No,
I heard that on the stream, and I'm so sorry.
Yeah,
I don't remember who said it, but I was like, oh no,
that doesn't work like that.
Don't get me started.
That doesn't work like that.
It's not even her blood, right? It's just because
it's just so wrong.
Just no. I personally, I really believe that the story was being progressed by the actual wills of the Force to choose Hera in that moment, to give her that information to save Ahsoka. I think it was a snowball.
Totally willing. If sort of, I mean, they're probably never going to explain it, but
it was a one-off thing.
Accept that.
Allow me to make you feel better.
I'll accept that as an answer, because we know that they're probably not going to give us an answer.
Allow me to make you feel better.
Probably for the better. Maybe.
He was. Allow me. I got you. Well, they weren't in prison till Life Day, so they don't have the power. But anyways, so they're on the edge of like that thing and everything. Kanan's son, so he's automatically gonna have some juice in him. Hey, Mom, check this out. Oh, where'd it go? That's it. One-time deal. Something like that. Just like a little mother hold hand, something like that. I don't know, something like that.
Yeah.
So just that. It's nothing. No worries.
I believe it was definitely a one-time thing too.
It's like,
I don't think they're gonna go down
you
that
can't
path.
hear here. There you go. You hear it? Okay, now I'm back to mine.
And plus,
let's go. Let's get out of here.
We don't know that the fans don't know anything about the world between worlds. I mean, this was a dream sequence in Ahsoka's head, but it was still technically a real physical thing because she completed her training.
I saw Eli's comment and I was like, is he for real?
He wanted to marry Ashley, okay?
David Eckstein is an amazing person, dude. Yeah.
Her husband's
he's awesome.
Amazing kind, dude.
Yeah, I've heard he's really nice.
My grandfather used to watch him play baseball back in the day, man. He's a good guy.
I was waiting
No,
in line for Ashley, and David was actually the one that introduced me to Ashley's mom and dad. And I got a picture
Nice.
with three of them.
Aw,
Yeah.
Yeah, honestly, their entire her entire family.
her
seems
her
just
family
very
seems
wholesome.
so supportive, like so supportive and nice. Like they're always like I always see on her Instagram feed, like she's always hanging out with her family and spending time with them and stuff. And I'm like, that's right, we got the whole Star Wars crew right here.
That's Tano tribe. That's what
That is
Yeah,
Tano
yeah,
tribe right
yeah.
there.
Yeah, you walk into
That
hear like
is.
Spice Girls play in the background when you get your photo op, and you're just like, "What the French toast? Am I in the right place?" And then that guy looks at you, you're just like, "Dude, it's normal." Like,
Hi, my name's David. I'm Ashley's husband.
yeah, super
Everything
nice
about
guy.
this is
Yeah.
normal.
Yeah. Long story short, sorry, Eli. She's been taken since 2005. However, you can
Now, what is it?
muffins.
Muffins.
Muffins?
Carry
Wait,
on.
Muffins.
There was a meme
Muffins.
about muffins. It's okay.
All right. Before we wrap things up, there's probably two more things that I wanted to ask about.
Yep.
One of them being, this is a very, very small thing that's
Mhm.
probably never going to happen, but I noticed it in the episode. I think it was when Mon Mothma was talking to Hera. She was saying, I think it was Mon Mothma. It was either Mon Mothma or Carson that mentioned this to Hera. They were mentioning going back to Coruscant. To meet with the Senate or whatever, to evaluate her.
Court-martialed.
I think it was that.
Kind of a,
yeah, I think
kind
it
of a
was.
big deal, but
The reason I bring it up is because when we had Mando season 3 come out, they started to explore Coruscant more and the remnants of the Empire, all these people that are, coming from the Empire, trying to be part of the new whatever, trying to build new lives and stuff. Do you think that there's a chance that we will start to see some, if we get a season 2 of Ahsoka or whatever, do you think there will start to be some crossover tie-in to those two things, connecting? If Hera goes back to Coruscant, do you think she'll find out about any of that stuff going on with the Empire, or Mon Mothma being on Coruscant starting to find out about those things? Because at this point I'm thinking, how do none of y'all know about this stuff? It's freaking Coruscant.
Well, they didn't know about the Chancellor being evil, and they've been given signs throughout
Here's
the
this thing
prequels
about
pretty hard.
Here's the thing about Palpatine, man. Why is everybody gunning for him? He seems like a nice guy. There's no way he's a Sith Lord.
Ain't no way some Gungan's gonna grant emergency powers to some old.
I don't get the deal here. He seems like a nice guy.
What's he talking about?
But listen, they gotta connect. They gotta connect everything to the sequels. Unfortunately.
I don't care if they connect to that. I just want to know if it's in the now connecting.
That's what I check out.
Well, I think probably not too crazy. I mean, she's probably gonna have her moment with Mon Mothma, but I mean, kind of the point of what they're also showing right now, and I'm not sure if Mon Mothma is aware of it either, is the fact that they're just absolutely and horrifically incompetent.
That's what happens with rich politicians living on a pretty rich planet. They don't even know what's going on their own planet. They're just listen.
They don't care. I mean, if it was up to them, they would have not changed to from the Empire, because I mean, they were wealthy, they were doing good. I mean,
as long as it doesn't affect me, I'm rolling with the punches. I mean,
the only
was that
person
quote
I
that
think
Hera
would
even said to them? She was like, "So that's what you did? You just sat back and watched."
that moment.
Or something like that.
I think the only person I have hope in even doing anything is Mon Mothma, of course, but that's just me. I would like to see her more involved, because we obviously got we've been seeing her get more involved anyways. We got her in Andor, now we're getting her in this. Is it likely that we'll see her again at some point, and possibly they start to find out hey, it's not just Thrawn who's gonna show up. It's you think the Empire would just, I don't know, give up, be okay with the fact that all these people got to live, but nah, some people still have bitterness in them.
So go get a crossover here. Go get Jeffrey D. Morgan and surprise him as Luke Skywalker and pull like a season 2 Mandalorian. Just they didn't get the message about the Death Star being blown up, so it's like, Luke, man, you're gonna have to go spoil everybody's shit. They didn't get the message. Can I just enjoy my fire and everything like this? I'll be back. Just instead of green lightsaber instead of a baseball bat.
You'd think that the first war was the only one. Now we're probably gonna go into war number 2. And it's going to be ran by Thrawn.
This is the Star Wars. These are the wars in the stars.
War.
There's always wars.
Like the way it works, either the entire galaxy is at war, and if they're not, Mandalorians are fucking up shit.
Yeah.
That's
if there's no war, then there's
interspecies
war.
Now that I think about it too, do you like, aside from obviously they're doing the flashbacks and stuff, and that's kind of the purpose of it, but since I'm saying this, like, do you think they might even like have something bigger with like the Siege of Mandalore being mentioned? Because obviously we're starting to see a lot of like we have Mando season 3, and now we have Ahsoka, and you know, we just saw them together in season 2. There's like, that's what I'm really thinking about is we're gonna get like a movie at some point, but how is this all gonna tie in?
Well, I mean, I'm personally, in that sense, very interested how we're going to see the whole, like, warlord council working into the meta right now, because that is something that I thought was one of the most interesting and just throwback things from, like, things like Heir to the Empire, sort of just the communication between warlords and how everyone just grew up to be even more stuck up than any Imperial was already. Sort of everyone being in charge of their own sector. So I think I'm really excited to see that and how that once Thrawn is back.
Didn't we kind of get that too with like Book of Boba Fett a little
even
bit?
Even besides Heir to the Empire, that's what we get in the comics all the time. Like that's how Imperials are. Like that's they're at their post, they're stubborn, and when something goes bad, they freak out or they die. It's just one of the two.
You know who they die by? They die by a secret spy who goes after anybody that betrays them.
They die by their boss.
No, they die by their boss's hand.
The right hand of the Emperor.
Yeah.
That was a milking answer. It was a bait.
I was really going for it there.
You want to say something?
Lady's like, who is that character? She's female, red hair.
I wonder who's going after all that betrayed the Empire.
Lightsaber. That's Mace Windu. Yeah, he's the one who has that. I know who you're talking about.
There's only one BMF.
That would be so hilarious if like Mara Jade came back, and then in this like the split second she's on screen. Like Samuel Jackson comes back, motherfucker!
I'm still alive, mother. You know the rest.
Surprise, mother.
I can't get the Django out of my head.
He's gonna have one arm from it. He's had to have been kicked from who knows how many stories high up, and he's just gotta come in like, "You will not take this from me, bitch."
You know how many years No, I'm not going to complete that. I almost did something horrible.
Justice for Mace Windu. He's alive, and we all know it.
Read Shatterpoint and Matthew Stover's Revenge of the Sith. God dang it. Oh.
Or how War would say, Splatterpoint once Mace Windu hit the ground.
Yes, but once the light is gone, I could go.
What if it's possible he landed in someone's car, though, or ship or whatever?
I've seen that on like a Robot Chicken or something. I swear I did.
I don't know. It's very likely. I don't know.
No, it was the janitor guy. I think it was from Robot Chicken. He's like, then he falls. What's going on up there?
Comes down.
Yeah, like what's going on up there? Then like he gets the same position except he's on the Death Star. The Emperor falls down. What are they doing up there?
Yeah. Oh gosh, it is so oddly satisfying how in Robot Chicken, they animated when people die. It sounds fucked up.
They even got George Lucas to even voice a character on there as himself. They're doing something right.
I love that Seth Green pitching with Mara Jade and the one guy. He's not real. I want you out of here.
Out.
Smacks him in the back of the head. Get out of here.
So good.
Listen, Ahsoka's on the cliff. She gets her block broken and falls off the cliff and then is in the water in a dream sequence. Mace gets his arm chopped off, electrocuted, thrown out the window, splatter point. I mean, there's really any way you can go with falling out of tall objects.
Yeah, and I mean, yeah, it really depends. I mean, also like on Geonosis, I mean, Mace definitely hit like a similar jump fall while being on fire from Django.
Yeah, Coleman Trevor gets shot in the chest. I mean, I've seen people get shot and live before,
I mean,
but he falls
gotta
to his
do-
death.
Quite
Padme
never
falls
landed.
out of the LAAT onto the sand. She doesn't break her neck. She's not
Oh
even
my
force
god!
sensitive.
There was a TikTok that I
roll.
saw. This is the funniest thing ever, and I'm probably gonna have to save it for after stream because I don't know if I'd get canceled if I said that.
Oh
If
god.
there's doubts, you probably will.
I'll tell it to y'all. I'll tell it to y'all after because I'm probably gonna call it soon. Last question I have for y'all before we go. What do you think's gonna happen in this episode? Because at the end of this last episode, we saw the cool. I'm gonna be honest. Like my boyfriend was like freaking out when he saw this because he was like, "This is the coolest thing ever." It's the space whales. They're about to hyper. Yeah, they're about to they made the jump into hyperspace. What do you think we're gonna see this episode?
Thrawn! We need
Our
Thrawn!
Blue King!
Both. I will say both because picture it. Thrawn's just like, oh god, they finally got my message. I've been out here for years and everything. No, not
These
those
guys
things
again.
again. No, get me out of here. Give me the chimera. I'm out. No, just Wells coming back again to bite me on the ass.
Yeah,
Space
they're-
whales are gonna hurt me.
Behind
You got
them too, they have
PTSD from it.
they have that like Godzilla like charging up the spine effect when they're jumping into hyperspace. So that's like Thrawn's biggest fear in Star Wars.
Yeah,
I
you have
thought that was the
PTSD from
coolest
that.
thing, though. I thought that was the coolest thing to watch, though, at the end of the episode, seeing them all get ready to make that jump and just seeing them do that. I don't know why, but that was like, for some reason, I'm sitting there thinking to myself, if I were ever in Star Wars and I were ever that captain of that ship that needs to move the hell out of the way,
Admiral?
I wouldn't care if I got hit by one of these things. I'll go out in peace, sing the coolest thing ever.
Death by hyperspace whale, not probably the best
Woo!
choice. But, yeah.
Yeah, pretty insane, pretty awesome though.
I thought they were goofy at first, but the Purgles are really
Yeah.
growing on me.
They grew on me, but still, it's last thing you expect when you're watching a thing and you see.
Well, they grow on me in that kind of like Avatar Way of Water kind of way, where it's just like, wow, a bunch of
So
whales.
pretty. Nature.
Wow.
Yeah.
Freaking cool, man.
I thought they were cool. I thought it was cool to see him like show up and have that like incorporated into the story and stuff. I mean, it was already like a thing, but seeing it in live action just makes it cooler. I don't know why, but I sit there and like when I sit there and watch this show, I'm sitting there thinking to myself, wow, they really do a good job on this CGI. I wonder who did it. Goes to Google. Oh, it's the very same people that does everything for Disney. Should have made a movie.
ILM? Question mark?
Oh, it's very obvious it's them. I mean, really? Flying donut in space like they didn't already do that in Avengers?
Oh yeah, I mean they should. You know what?
Don't. Yeah,
I'll leave it.
They're
I'll leave
almost
it.
dead.
Come on. You know I had to make that joke. They did it in Avengers. Flying donut in space.
Space donut.
Except it's a hyper ring in space.
It's a hyper donut. Extra charged up super donut.
But what
Super
type of donut
glazed.
is it?
Super
Okay.
glazed.
New theory coming in
Nice.
hot, coming out of left field. Don't believe anything I'm saying. I'm just gonna spout this to you. Okay, Avatar Way of Water. They suck up that yellow whale juice from the inside. That
And it's
is
lemon?
That is immortality. Okay,
It's
we know
lemon.
why Anakin stays young.
My
start killing
God,
some
that's
Purgles.
why he loved to be on Naboo. He didn't want to hang out with the. That makes perfect
Just
sense.
gotta suck up that space whale junk, boy.
There you go.
The true power.
What
from
a way to
from-
end the
save one
stream.
from
Space
dying.
whale juice, people. You heard it from them. We're getting some juice now from space. That's how we
Okay,
stay
new
young.
title of the stream: Space Whale Juice and Blue People.
I thought you were gonna say blue milk like the sequel.
No.
See,
The
go.
Star
Baseball
Wars
juice and
equivalent,
blue
yeah.
milk. Make yourself a drink.
I'll go for whenever that happens.
All right, I think we're gonna call it here. We've been going at it for a little over an hour. Got all of our things set. Tonight's episode is gonna be great. I just know it. I have a feeling. Strike, you're streaming tonight again, aren't you?
Yes.
I don't know if you want to. If any of y'all or anybody else is gonna be streaming, but if y'all want to plug that in, be my guest.
I will be there 10 minutes, actually.
Yep,
Right?
Oh my guests.
we're going over to Strike's channel right in a minute, and they're going to enjoy some Star Wars.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Lucas.
I have a really good feeling about that guy.
You heard it, everyone. George Lucas has been on my podcast. He said it himself. We're gonna go to another one. Yep, you heard it here first from the man himself.
I'm never doing that again. That's a lie.
Oh my god.
Thank you so
All right,
much.
everyone. Thank you so much for watching. We hope y'all enjoyed. If you haven't already, go watch this dang show. It's amazing. Like,
Seriously.
can't get enough of it. Seriously. I don't know. If you aren't already, go and check out Strike's channel. He's going to be streaming for the new episode in a little bit. JT, you have Instagram. He posts all kinds of cool shit about Star Wars.
And a
I do
YouTube.
stuff.
Mhm.
He does stuff. He does
Yeah,
awesome
don't
stuff.
practice.
And also go check out Charlie. He does YouTube videos as well. He interviews all sorts of famous people, including Ahsoka herself.
Multiple
Ashley.
times.
If you can't,
Yeah.
if you can't find Charlie Thomas on YouTube, either type in Ace360 or Charlie the Lone Wolf Thomas. You know, something
Honestly,
like that. You'll
just put
find
in Charlie, just put in Charlie and then the celebrity that you want him to talk
Yeah,
to.
it'll
and
pop up.
he has to
Yeah.
talk to that
And you're gonna find it probably.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or you
I'm
can
not
go
even
check
kidding.
it-
I'm not even kidding. That's actually how it works. Like type in meeting something celebrity, and Charlie's like the second video or something.
Yeah.
I'm not even kidding.
That's funny though.
Check it
Oh
out.
my god,
I-
that is
I-
true.
Oh, you
I
don't
gotta-
even say, no humble. No. Mm-mm.
No humble. You're a celebrity now, Charlie. Be with the rest of the celebrities. Just take it, okay?
I get to
Okay.
hug a hobbit one time. That's Ashley Eckstein, and then things happen. I mean, her birthday's in a few weeks, and I'm going to see if I can get her on. Okay.
On
Your heart out,
again.
Eli.
Come on, Eli. Go watch Charlie. Go support the homies. And as always, we will see you in the next one and take care. And may the force be with you all. Bye, everyone.
Stay awesome.